Work of the gangs continued in the city at an accelerated rate, in which Joan was running the business professionally, and was represented in running this administration by Andrew, who gained considerable experience in managing gangs and knowing the defects and speeding up to solve them. As mentioned, the gangs have shifted from working in secret to openly, and these three gangs have called themselves the name of X, which is a metaphor for Mr. Joan, who was unknown to Alan. Even Andrew did not know him well, and he would not like that in recognition of Joan's desire, who prefers that. What distinguishes Joan's gangs from the city gangs of Philip and Stephen was that his gang management was a professional based on accurate tests in the choices of those who work with him, whether he was a gang leader or an ordinary individual, and he had a unique administrative thought, so his reward system was strong and almost unbelievable. And this matter was known to the members of the three gangs. As for the rest of the two gangs in the city, they are without any organization. The brutal killing was their way of dealing with the gang members, and this was Joan's last solution. It happened that a gang member informed Kevin, who is responsible for John's logistical work, about a colleague who was actually intending to steal drug merchandise. This man was driving a car with a colleague from the border to the east of the city and offered a colleague to steal the goods and sell them away from the gang, but his colleague refused and said, "We will expose ourselves to killing, and why do we steal? We are taking good sums of money. I will not be held accountable because of your indiscretion." This thief fell silent, and before they reached the city at a fueling station, he took some drugs and fled. When his colleague discovered him of his theft, he immediately called Kevin and informed him, who in turn called Andrew. Andrew told Joan, who ordered to arrest him as soon as possible. Andrew said he had stolen something little. Joan said, "I do not want drugs, I want him alive." Andrew ordered Kevin to arrest him as soon as possible, and this happened 2 days later, and Kevin tied him to the gang headquarters until the orders came from Andrew to determine his destiny. When Andrew called Kevin, Andrew asked him to collect all members of the gang and asked Kevin to kill him in front of them, and then bring his colleague and give him a reward of $100,000 as he reported the thief. Fear grew among the members of the three gangs due to this situation, but they were surprised at the reward that their colleague received. Kevin said to everyone, "This will be the fate of every traitor, and this reward will be for all those dedicated to working with us. Please, what I tell you is clear." Joan was very intelligent. Everyone became afraid of being a traitor and of being killed and feared that he would be known of his betrayal. If he began to think, a colleague would tell about him and take the $100,000. All the gang members did not want to betray and tried to seek news of betrayals to win the reward. There was a conversation between Joan and Andrew, and Joan was offering Andrew to increase his influence in the state, and Andrew was preparing this choice for its difficulty. And he always said that the gangs had already become strong and controlled the east of the city, and Joan was saying, "It is not enough that I want a governmental influence." And the two started thinking about a way through which they enter the government and they win its support. All this, and the two gangs of Stephen and Philip are still not aware of the dangerous organization of Joan in the east of the city. All that they heard was that there were some armed sellers who sometimes sold drugs, so they did not pay a remarkable attention to them. There was a dilemma with Joan and Andrew in money laundering, as they do not have any clean money in the banks. All they have is in cash, so he arranged with Mrs. Meckel to buy a chain of restaurants and run them. Meckel, delusive profits would be the essence of the clean money which Joan could spend without the police's attention to him, and Meckel benefited a lot from this process as she was laundering the money. But she was taking the remaining money in possession of the restaurants as well, and Joan knew that as joy to her success and a beneficial from these laundering processes. Andrew was sitting with his wife and she was working in the sale of real estate, and she said to him, "Do you know who came today to the office and wants to buy large land at the edge of the city?" He said, "Whoever," she said to him. "He is the agent of the mayor's business who wants to buy it with a huge sum, and we are now negotiating with the owner because the land is the only land left in front of the river, and he will pay any amount for it." Andrew had an idea, and he called Joan and said to him, "I want to see you tonight. It is a fateful issue and an opportunity that we should not miss regarding our conversation about our relations with the government." So the two met that night. Andrew's idea was to buy that land that the mayor wanted to buy, and it would be the beginning of an acquaintance between the gang and the government, so Joan agreed immediately and urged him to buy as soon as possible. Andrew went back to his wife and told her that he would like to buy the land for whatever amount its owner wanted to sell with. She said, "How you would buy it?" "The business owner I work for said he would like to buy it with any available amount, and she told him that so be for you. But the mayor wants to buy it and I promised his business agent to do that." He said, "And why, you are my wife," and he started laughing. She said, "Are you serious about that?" He said, "Yes, and I will buy it tomorrow. I am ready," so she promised him of that. And the next day, Andrew's wife negotiated with the owner, so he agreed after the price increased a little. Andrew bought the land and took the property documents. He invited Joan and began to show him the property documents. And Joan says, "This piece of paper is our friendship piece of paper with the government. I want your wife to inform the mayor's agent that the land has already been sold and that the matter is worth negotiating with the new owner if possible." The mayor knew the news, so he got angry and said to his agent, "Did we not promise that office that the money is ready and that we will buy it as soon as possible?" He said to him, "It seems that we are late and someone has come to buy it quickly, but we still have time to negotiate with the new owner. This was told me by the woman working in the real estate office. What about negotiating with him?" The mayor agreed to this idea and said to him, "Do what can be done to buy it. Do not let the opportunity pass you by, because I want this land at any price." The business agent called Andrew's wife and told her that he wanted to negotiate with the new owner, but she asked him, "Do you want to negotiate or do you want to buy the land?" He said, "I want to buy through negotiation," and she said, "If you want to buy, arrange an appointment for me with the mayor and I promise you that the owner will come to the mayor to negotiate with him personally." He said, "I must take permission from the mayor," and she said, "I am waiting for you." The business agent contacted the mayor and presented the subject to him, and he agreed, and the promised meeting was arranged by Joan. So, Andrew's wife was just an implementer of what was said to her, and indeed she played the acting role perfectly. Andrew came to the mayor's office with the personality of an extreme rich man, with a private driver and a very luxurious car, and was greeted by the mayor's agent in the outside parking of the office. He accompanied Andrew to the front of the mayor's office and offered him a seat, and Andrew was reading a paper as if the matter is not such an important one. The agent entered to the mayor's office and said to him, "My master, you will talk to the richest man in the country. This man got off a very luxurious car with a private driver. I do not think that he will sell you the land. I expect that he will recognize you only out of respect for your position, no more." The mayor said, "Bring him to me." Andrew entered to the mayor and welcomed him in an exaggerating way and asked him about what he would like to drink. Andrew said to him calmly, "I want a little coffee. I follow a diet that the doctor has ordered me to maintain my health. It is forbidden to drink coffee a lot. We must pay attention to our health, Your Excellency, Mayor. As you know, money without health is useless. You will not be able to enjoy it." The mayor looked at his agent in surprise, and he knew then that he was talking to a very rich person. After Andrew had drunk coffee, he said, "Yes, Your Excellency the Mayor. The employee in the office told me that you want to meet me. I think it is for the sake of the land. How can I serve you?" The mayor said, "Yes, your agent told me that you might want to sell it." The mayor said it with great embarrassment. The mayor said that I would like to discuss my work in the presence of those concerned only, and kept silent. The mayor understood what Andrew meant and ordered his agent to leave. The business agent came out angry and muttered words indicating his extreme anger at this situation. Andrew began asking the mayor, "What do you want to do on this land?" The mayor said, "Actually, for a long time, I have been looking for a piece of land to build a family house on it. It is as a house on the river which we dream of. My family member saw it and was delighted about it, and I did not find, and when I found it and I was about to pay the amount, then you came and bought it." And then Andrew said, "I don't know, is it your misfortune, or is it my good luck for this sale to take place and get to know you?" The mayor laughed and said, "To my pleasure, Mr. Andrew." Andrew said to the mayor, "I will sell you the land for the same amount that I bought it for, although I have decided to build a tourism project on it, a hotel, a restaurant and some entertainment games, but it will not be an obstacle between you and what you want to be the mayor." The mayor responded, "I did not expect this response from you, Mr. Andrew. It is kind of you to do all this. Thank you very much for your kindness." Andrew said, "I will accept the sale under one condition." The mayor was surprised and said, "What is your condition?" Andrew said, "I will be the one who builds this house for you with my own money." The mayor looked at Andrew and told him that there must have been a misunderstanding in the matter. "I only want to buy and I will start building in a year or two to have enough money with me to complete the construction." Andrew said, "Please, I understand everything. You only want to buy, but I offer you to do the construction. Please, it is a great honor for me to offer you that, and I consider that to be a retainer of friendship between us only." The mayor said, "Let me think about the matter and I will return to you as soon as possible," and they separated after each one of them had given the other's card. In the evening the mayor spoke with his wife and told her the story, and he said to her, "He is a very rich man. I expect his wealth in billions, not millions," and said to him, "Why you do not agree? The man did not ask for any service from you." The mayor said, "I fear that this is to be a retainer for illegal deeds," and she said, "Did he really ask for this?" He said, "No, but I do not know what he will ask in the future." She said, "It is an opportunity. The house will be built for you for free, and we will live in the fastest time." Instead of waiting for years to build this house, the mayor was silent and said, "Let me think more about the matter." In the office, the mayor sat thinking a lot about Andrew's proposal and said I had to settle the matter, and called Andrew and said to him, "Can you come to the office? I want to discuss your proposal with you." Andrew came and said to him, "I will accept your offer with one condition, that you keep this matter a secret between me and you." And Andrew agreed. He said, "Do not be afraid. My intention is good. Nevertheless, do not be afraid. The matter will be done in complete secrecy." Indeed, the mayor bought the land and Andrew left, and on the way, he called Joan and said to him, "We have done it. We have already done it. The sale has been completed and we will start construction as soon as possible." Joan went mad and said, Start the construction process as soon as possible." "Well done, Andrew, well done." The contract between Andrew and the construction company began, and Andrew was keen to personally supervise the construction processes, so that the mayor once met him there and said to him, "Is it time for all this?" He said, "Yes, I have someone to do my business, and I am here as I promised you. I will build a house for you to the fullest." Joan and Andrew were keen that the building was very luxurious and with specifications that the mayor and his wife would not believe. And the mayor and Andrew met from time to time, so that the mayor had invited Andrew to his house for dinner. Andrew accepted. And Andrew's visits to the mayor were repeated until Andrew's relationship with the mayor was strengthened and he and his wife visited them. As well as the mayor visited Andrew at the temporary home that Joan had suggested to live in, to give the mayor the impression that Andrew was indeed of the luxury class. The construction work continued for months, and before the completion of the construction work, Joan ordered that the house had to be furnished with the most beautiful furniture, and he took care of the smallest details. So he chose games for children and decorating the outdoor pool of the house until the kitchen had bought him the finest dishes. And the promised day came for the mayor and his wife to visit the house in the presence of Andrew and his wife. The mayor's wife did not control herself from the beauty of the house and began to open the rooms and enter the kitchen, while telling her husband that the house is very beautiful and she almost does not believe what she sees. The mayor said to Andrew, "I do not know how I will return this favor to you, but I thank you very much for this valuable gift. Please, this is not to be our last meeting. Please, we want to visit each other frequently. You deserve this friendship. Please do not reject my request." Then the mayor's wife intervened and said, "Who said to you, Andrew, we offer you this friendship as if we have just known each other? I am obligating you to this friendship. You have become a part of our family." Andrew replied that I agree with you. We are one family. Andrew's wife almost said that we are one family. Andrew and his wife got out of the house, and in the car, Andrew's wife began to ask him in astonishment, why all this interest in the mayor and his family? He answered, "These are orders of the person who I work for his favor, and I only implement what he wants." Andrew's visits to the mayor continued until this relationship was strengthened, and one night the mayor asked Andrew, "What is your field of work?" Andrew said that I work for a man with a long experience in import and export, and he owns a large business that extends to most countries of the world, and he is busy all the time. Then Andrew took advantage of this opportunity to offer some services to the mayor. He said to him, "Do you want to win some money?" He said, "Certainly, it is clear that you earn much money. Why not?" Andrew was not late to ask the mayor to transfer him an amount of money, at least $100,000, to enter it as his stock to work with and return it to him with a profit of no less than 30% within 3 months, and it may be more. The mayor is very happy with this offer and promised to transfer the money into Andrew's bank account the next day. The mayor did not ask Andrew about any documents proving their business. The man had built his house as a gift, and the mayor did not suspect the slightest suspicion that this was a trap that John had set for him. The next day, a text message came to Andrew's mobile stating the transfer of the amount. He, in his turn, called Joan preaching him with this transfer. He was happy with the news and ordered Andrew that he had to complete the plan as planned. After about a month, Andrew asked the mayor to meet with him to discuss the matter of trade and profits, and Andrew chose to have the appointment in a restaurant inside a very famous and luxurious hotel, so the mayor agreed. On his arrival, he welcomed him and gave him a seat at the table. They exchanged speech for little time. Then Andrew was silent, and then he said, "I will open the subject directly, and I will tell you about reality of my business work." The mayor said, "It looks like you have lost, Andrew. It is okay, you have built the house for me for free, and this amount is not equal to a quarter of what you spent for me on my house." Andrew said that I work in a legal business. Andrew said, "If you want me to specifically tell you that I work in the drug trade." Then the mayor began to insult Andrew with various insults. And Andrew said to him, "Calm down, there is no need for all this, and listen carefully. If my reality is exposed, this will be the beginning of the end for you." The mayor said, "Are you threatening me?" He said that, "I am not threatening you, this is the case. If the police find out about me, this will be your last political days, and with the lowest expectations, you will abdicate your current position." The mayor said, "How is that?" He said, "How would you justify drug dealers buying a piece of land and selling it to you on the next day? How will you justify that this drug trader has built this house for you? All the contracts between the construction company and the purchase of furniture were in my name. But how would you justify transferring $100,000 from your personal account to my account?" Then the mayor put his hand on his forehead and looked down and said, "I did it, you criminal. How did I not count for all these things? I have thought well of you, and you were already a demon. How did all these thoughts come to your mind? I was already a fool." Andrew said to the mayor, "I do not want much from you, but you will gain a lot. All I want from you is to help us legally. If we need you, you have paid $100,000. Indeed, you will earn every month this amount in cash. It will come to your home from me personally. As for your son, who will graduate from high school this year, costs of his university studies are prepaid from now, if you like." Andrew did not take long and took out $100,000 and put it in front of the mayor on the table. The mayor said, "What is that?" Andrew said, "This is the first batch of this month. Take it in advance." The mayor began to look around him, and he was saying, "I do not want to be seen by anyone." He took it and put it in the pocket of his suit, and he was saying that, "I am distracted now, and I do not know what to say." Andrew said, "Don't say anything. I will call you tomorrow to arrange some matters with you." Andrew got out of the hotel and called Joan and said to him, "You will not believe what I tell you. Are you ready to hear new news?" Andrew said. The mayor agreed and took the $100,000. Then Joan hung up the phone and said, "It is time for your end, Stephen and Philip. I will take my greatest revenge on you." The next day, a company came with a truck with a luxury car on board for the mayor, and the mayor started asking the man, "To whom this car belongs?" And he said it was in your name. Andrew had taken his card information from his wife at the real estate office and bought a luxury car on his behalf. The mayor went mad, and Andrew was watching him from far distance. Andrew called him and asked him to accept the gift. "It is a retainer of my commitment to honest dealings with you. The mayor said, "This is a lot. I cannot accept all of this." Andrew said to him, "You should accept. You will not make me hang up the phone, and I am upset with you." Andrew ended the call, and actually they downloaded the car. The mayor took the key and Andrew left the location. When the mayor entered the house, he was distracted and had the car key in his hand. His wife saw him and started to ask him, "What is wrong with you?" He did not answer. She took the key, pressed the remote and heard the car outside. And she went out and began checking the car in a strange astonishment, as she was not dreaming of riding such a luxurious car. She returned to the mayor and she was saying, "What is the subject of this car?" And he replies that he is the dreaded Andrew. "It is mine now. I am really afraid of this man, that he has documents that will put me in jail at the very least by accepting a bribe or dealing with him in drugs. What will I do?" The mayor's wife was impressed by these valuable presents and the beautiful house which she was given by Andrew. This blinded her from fear of the consequences of this issue, and began to relieve the mayor's fear until he really began to rejoice with the gift and rode with her in the car and started driving around the house, and he already says it is a worthy gift. "Our hands are without getting tired, and you will get $100,000 every month. Trust me, you will not get this amount if you worked in this position for the next 10 years. The mayor has begun to accept the new situation and the friendship of Andrew, although he is a drug dealer, and the friendship of Andrew's wife with the mayor continues. As for Andrew, he and Joan celebrated the new achievement at night, and after an evening at Andrew's house, Joan said with enthusiasm, "On this night, Andrew, we have built our empire with all audacity. Now we rule the city, not the eastern part of the city only." Andrew replied, "And the rest of the two gangs? What are you going to do with them?" Joan answered him, "It's only a matter of time. Let's complete our gang management and you will see with your own eyes what matters will turn out to be, Andrew." Joan had already ruled the city, so the oldest man in the city worked for his account and had 3 gangs of the most powerful gangs in the country, organized in an organization that would be difficult for other than Joan to manage and exit the country for drug smuggling. Kevin became experienced with them and entered whatever he wanted easily and owned a chain of restaurants through which he could launder a lot of money to finance matters that require the use of Andrew's bank account. This is all other than the huge sums of cash that Joan keeps in his house in the woods and the drugs that Kevin keeps in his warehouses. It is really a drug empire that is very organized and arranged. All of that, and Joan lives in an underground house and no one sees his face until now. John used to call Katie almost every day, and he used to make sure to talk to her outside his house as usual, promising her that the time of his innocence had come, and that it was just a short time and everything would return as it was, and she always repeated when it would come. Joan, the matter took long, and he relieves her and says, "Be patient. You will not believe what you will see and where you will live." Joan was ordering Andrew to double the rewards for the 3 leaders for every accomplishment they made. And one day Joan ordered Andrew to increase the amount of weapons in the gangs and to increase their number. So Andrew denounced this request and told him that this weapon is not available in the city and we must bring it from outside the country. And he said to him, "Do you want us to invade another country? You are asking for large numbers of weapons, and the matter does not require all of this." John answered him, "Do what I order you only," and Andrew agreed. Andrew met with Kevin and offered him the orders of the leader X, and he said this is new work that must be coordinated. We must increase the bribes provided to border security. Andrew told him we would pay all that is required. Kevin agreed and asked Andrew for a time to prepare for it well. Kevin met with a senior border guard officer, and this man agreed on the condition that the smuggling processes would be in specific quantities each time, and he asked for an amount of money more than usual. And Kevin agreed. Kevin began to enter the weapon through the borders to the east part of the city in secret warehouses which were known only by Kevin and Andrew until after 3 months all the cargoes were complete. Andrew called Joan and told him that our weapon stores are larger than the police stores, and we are ready now. Are there other orders regarding weapons? He said, "No, just complete your business by selling until the specified time comes." News reached Stephen in the city that powerful gangs are in the east of the city and that their strength began to increase day by day, and weapons are available to them. Stephen was surprised about that matter, and he ordered his followers to try to know the members and the leader of these gangs. Andrew was not known from his gang members, so whoever was at the front and ran things were the 3 leaders only, so the orders came from Joan, and no one knew Joan except Andrew. From Andrew to the leaders only, and from the 3 leaders to the gang members, this administrative chain was disciplined in taking orders and proceeding in organizing along this way. Some of Stephen's gang attended and watched the situation, and fear grew of what they saw. The 3 gangs' cars were passing while being heavily armed, and the vendors were many, and the processes were taking place in a frightening organization. They told Stephen what they saw so that his oppression increased, and he said, "I should have taken this part of the city before others took it." He said it in a loud voice and ordered to know who the leader of these gangs was. A few days later, a man called Stephen after he watched the east of the city and knew that the leaders were Kevin, Michael and Stanley, and asked them who these men were. He said to them, "They have worked for you and for Philip's gang for long times. These are street vendors." Stephen was surprised with these men, how they were working under his command, and now they are selling the drugs in the streets without his knowledge and how to get drugs and this weapon. Stephen decided to prepare the men to fight Kevin, Michael and Stanley, but one of his men suggested to him that he should assign this task to the chief of police who works for Stephen, and told him there is no need to enter this war with people like these ones as they are amateurs. The police chief will be able to finish their affair in a few hours, so there is no need for you to stain your reputation that you fought men who worked for you. Stephen started to think and was convinced of his friend's words. Indeed, he called the police chief and told him about the amateurs who work in the east of the city and said to him surprisingly, "I have news about people who work in sales in the east of the city, and I thought they belonged to your gang or Philip's gang. Aren't they with you?" Stephen said, "No, they are not, and you should finish their work in the streets and not fail as you failed to arrest them and as you failed to arrest Joan." Then the chief of police said, "John has died. Do you still remember the subject of this little child? You should thank me. I brought you out of a dilemma." On that day a lot was killed, and news appeared in all the countries. For all you say, what matters to me now is to end the topic of amateurs in the east of the city. He said, "Do not be afraid, it will end tomorrow evening." On the next day, a speeding patrol came and stopped by 2 of Stanley's men commissioned to sell drugs for Joan and Andrew, and arrested them and took an interrogation in the street. "With whom do you work? Where do you get drugs from? Where are your stores?" This happened after they were searched and the police found drugs in their possession. One of Stanley's men saw what happened and called Stanley, who, in turn, made a telephone call and called Andrew. The orders came to surround the police at the place with more than 10 heavily armed cars. Indeed, near the patrol, 10 heavily armed cars surrounded, and Stanley got out and said to the 2 policemen, "Lower your weapons and you will not be hurt." The policemen did not think to resist and get off the weapons, and Andrew told them to loosen the men's shackles, and they loosened the chains. Then Stanley told them to go to the chief of police and tell him that if this procedure is repeated in the eastern part of the city, there will be a war that will not end. And what you see now is only equal to 1% of the men and the weapons we have, and now go calmly." The policeman left the place, shivering with fear, and went to the police chief. In the evening, Andrew called the mayor and told him what had happened and told him, "You should call the police chief and let him let the gangs in the east of the city operate freely. As the rest of the gangs are not intercepted, their work and they work freely." The mayor replied by saying, "Do not worry, I will manage." The mayor called the police chief and asked him what happened in the east of the city today. The chief of police was surprised that the mayor knew this news and told him that it is a simple matter that is not worth all the trouble. All is that a group of drug amateurs have blocked the path of some policemen, and I will end this matter as soon as possible. The mayor told him to leave these gangs and not touch any drug seller in the east of the city, until I told you otherwise. The chief of police was surprised by the mayor's response and told him how you knew about what happened today and how you tell me not to object to selling them drugs. The mayor replied to him by saying, "I have intelligence information that I had to, and you should leave them until the higher orders come to arrest them." Would you like to demolish all that you worked hard for in your past service until you reached this position for young amateurs, as you say? Then the police chief was afraid and said, "Sir, we will leave them alone, do not be afraid." Mayor called Andrew and said to him, "The matter has been settled, it is over. The policeman will not be in your way from now on." Andrew called Joan and told him what happened. Andrew began to laugh and gathered his fingers and raised his hand and said, "It is strength, Andrew, it is strength, and do what you like in the east of the city. Soon, the city will be he only for us." Stephen called the chief of police and told him, "These amateurs are still selling." "What happened? You could not stop them, what happened?" He told him that I could not stop them. There are higher orders to keep them until there are orders to the contrary. Until then we must stay away from them. Stephen began to shout at the face of the chief of the police. "How this happens, and I pay for you for a long time, and these people have only started recently." And the chief of police said to him, "Listen, Stephen the First have been called by a big position in the city, and these orders are from him personally. I will not waste my career for you. If this person orders me to arrest you personally, I will do what I can to arrest you and hang up." Stephen went mad and ordered that 10 of his men go to kill these amateurs as he thinks and kill them in their backyard in the east of the country. Stephen's advisor used to repeat that the news that is coming is that they are a great force and that this number will not suffice to finish them. He replied that this matter did not concern him, Stephen said while he was in his most angry moments. The men went to the east of the city and killed 2 men from the Stenley gang who were standing in the street selling drugs and took the drive in the east of the city. Lurking in the gang members, orders came from Jonetto, "Kill them, and he will not be satisfied unless they are all killed and no one escapes from them but only one person. Michael personally, who was commissioned by protection work, along with his gang members, and a strong war took place between his gang members and the 10 men. The 10 men tried to defend themselves in the fiercest ways, but they could not resist the strength of the gang and the strength of their weapons, and their prowess in shooting until 9 of them were killed and the 10th remained wounded. Joan ordered that they keep the bodies and that Michael know the location of Stephen's gang, and after knowing their whereabouts, he kills this person and throws all the bodies in front of the headquarters of Stephen's gang and leaves the bodies with a message addressed to Stephen that these bodies are just the beginning. Wait for the response soon and sign the name of Kevin, Michael and Stephen. The bodies were thrown in front of the headquarters of Stephen's gang, and the message was read by Stephen and an advisor, and he told a counselor, "What is this, killing my strongest men and throwing them in front of my headquarters and writing a threatening letter to me? From these men even the chief of police could not resist them?" A counselor told him that they have influence and power. "Believe me, this is their only conclusion." Stephen replied, "There is no a stronger man than me in the whole city, I am Stephen. Even the chief of police is with me than these amateurs. I will kill them and throw their corpses to dogs in the open." Joan ordered that the attack on the headquarters of Stephen's gang be carried out late at night, a strong attack, and assured that he would not accept any error and that he wanted Stephen alive. As for the rest of the gang members either dead or surrendered, Andrew assured him that the matter is very easy with Michael, who will carry it out with success. Andrew said it with confidence. At night, Michael's gang surrounded the headquarters of Stephen's gang calmly, and everyone was drinking wine, and Stephen was sleeping in the same headquarters, and the attack was already done. The orders were to surprise him and quickly kill with various weapons. Inside, some of them are hiding outside. They do not move and do not shoot except for those who escape from Stephen's gang. As for the last group, they are at the top of the building, snipers who shoot at those who try to shoot their colleagues below. The conflict began, and a large number of Stephen's gang was killed, and long clashes began between the members of the 2 gangs. And the archers at the top were brutally snatching the members of Stephen's gang until large numbers of them were about to flee, and everyone who left the building was killed from the gang members outside or thrown from the snipers at the top until too many of them were killed. And Stephen woke up immediately after he had heard shooting, and took a weapon and started firing until the rest of the gang surrendered. Michael entered and caught one of the surrenders and told him, "Where is Stephen, you idiot?" And he was silent and did not answer, so he was killed in front of the members of the surrendered gang of Stephen. Stephen was listening to Michael's words while he was undercover and could not move. He was trapped. Michael grabbed the hair of another member of Stephen's gang and told him, "Where is your leader?" So he told him he is in that room. Michael ordered his gang members to bring him and told them, "I want him alive and not dead." So they told him, "You will have what you want," and headed towards the room. Then Michael shouted, "Stephen, we are coming to you. Do not resist. Give yourself." The matter was finished, my friend. And Stephen is listening and saying, "You are mean. You have been working under my command and now you are threatening me." Whoever was with Stephen resisted and they were all killed, and Stephen surrendered and was led to Michael, who started slapping him on the face and was tied and put in the back of Michael's car. Michael ordered that all the weapons of Stephen's gang to be taken, and he told them, "If any drug was sold by you, I will kill you all without mercy. This area of the city will not be sold in it except for me, Kevin and Stanley. Is what I say clear, or do you want me to repeat what I have just said?" Everyone was silent, and none of them said a word. On the way, Michael called Andrew and said, "Wait, I'll call you shortly." Andrew called Joan and told him that Stephen was in the back of the car with Michael. So he ordered him to go to the woods in a faraway place and that you, Andrew, would meet him there. Joan and Andrew went to meet Michael, and on the meeting, Andrew called Michael and told him to put Stephen tied on the ground and leave the place, and this is what Michael really did. The lights of Michael's car were on and Joan ordered Andrew not to leave the car. Joan got out of the car and met Stephen, and had told him, "Who are you? Why are you covering your face?" He said to him, "Do not be afraid. You will know me now. I miss you more than you long to see me," and revealed his face. Joan was surprised by what he saw, as he had not seen Joan's face at all, and he is now revealing his face to Stephen. Why is this happening, and why is it only with Stephen and not me? On the other hand, Joan said to Stephen, "Did you know me, Stephen?" Stephen looked at his face carefully and said, "Are you Joan? Are you the one who stole money and drugs?" He said, "Yes, I am Joan, the one for whom you fabricated the charge of murder, committing murder, and drug trafficking. Is this what you lied to people about? Has what I said, Stephen, I am now a murderer and drug seller, and I have the legal authority in the country and the power of men? You have fulfilled my dream, my friend." Stephen begged Joan not to kill him, but Joan took out his gun and killed him. Joan covered his head again, and returned to Andrew, and Andrew was amazed by what he had seen, and said to him, "Be calm, I want to ask, can I ask you what is going on in my mind?" Joan answered, "I know you, and you have many questions. I will not tell you why I killed Stephen myself. Why did I reveal my mask in front of him, and what happened in my mind before I killed him? I know that you will ask all these questions, and I will tell you as I told you before. It is not time for that yet, do not ask too much." Andrew continued driving and seemed annoyed about Joan's response. Then Joan hit on Andrew's shoulder and told him, "Listen, Andrew, I have great respect and friendship for you. Believe me, my friend, that you will know everything soon, and the time will come for you to know everything.